Okay. Hello, everybody. Something Father Gregory said during his homily today I thought was very fitting. He said, use the brain that God gave you, which is essentially a very quick summary of what I'm going to be speaking on today. I am going to be talking about parenting in the age of AI. So specifically, I will be talking about AI usage in regards to how we should guide our children, but ultimately, this will be helpful for everyone since I think a lot of the advice we give our children is really things that we should listen to ourselves. I know I never let my kids stay up past their bedtime, but then every night I find myself staying up much later than is probably healthy for me, so I should really listen to what I tell them, right? This is probably a similar concept with this talk. So here I'll be talking a bit as a parent, but also a bit as a teacher as well. Many of you know that I'm a teacher at our classical academy here. But you know how some families are all lawyers or all doctors? My family is all teachers. Most of them teach older students in public schools, and the actual horror stories that I hear about this learned helplessness that we are in an epidemic of. These children are struggling with incapability of critically thinking about anything, solving word math problems, deducing what a word means based on the context clues, or figuring out how to pronounce it just by looking at it. Even an inability to ask for help, just the absolute recognition that they can ask for help or should ask for help. They just expect that it will come. So we will dive into some of the issues that our children are facing, why many of them are from AI and the overuse and reliance on an easy way out. But most importantly, how can we shift our mindset to avoid some of these pitfalls whenever possible? So as parents and as a community, it is our given that we want our children to do well. They are our future, and we want to nourish them and have them grow in an upright and successful life. It is a truth universally acknowledged. We want the kids to do well. So, what do we do? When babies are born, we do hip exercises to decrease the chance of dysplasia. We do fine motor skills, gross motor skills. We put them on their tummy to strengthen their neck. We do all of these exercises to make sure their body is physically fit, because these muscles will be the foundation for a healthy body that will last them, God willing, a very long life. Studies show time and time again that taking care of your body in your youth sets you up for a better chance at health in old age. We have to keep this same mindset when we talk about our mind. Our brain is a muscle. We use it or we lose it. So I could sit here and cite studies about how music education, foreign language, proper media literacy, pattern recognition, phonics, etc., all when learned early and comprehensively are directly linked to success in adulthood, but we would be here literally all day, and I have roughly 10 more minutes. So we're not only looking at success in adulthood, but also health. Recent studies are showing a direct correlation between purposeful brain activity with puzzles and music throughout adulthood, not just in childhood, throughout adulthood, and a decreased likelihood or impact of dementia. All of these things lead not only to a better chance of being a successful adult, but a better chance at being healthy well into aging. And we want what is best for the children, and undoubtedly, what is best is to make them use their brains. I don't typically like to speak super generally when talking about education because every child is different. They all need different approaches. But for the sake of the talk here, I will make a few sweeping generalizations, so please forgive me in advance. This generation of young people is in an epidemic of learned helplessness, and unless we do something to stop it, the next one will as well. What does this mean? There is an increasingly worrying amount of young people who actually cannot solve problems or difficult emotions when they face them. It's not just that they don't want to deal with something that's difficult, they actually do not have the knowledge on how. And I'm not saying this to speak down on these kids, these youth, and say, well, we're better than them because we do this. It's not that they're lazy, they're just unprepared and ill-equipped. It is so incredibly tempting as a parent when we see our children facing something difficult to just take that away from them, to fix it and make it better, to see them in this struggle and just make it disappear. Truly, in the long run, in this way, we are doing them a larger disservice. If we do not teach our children in explicit terms how to solve a problem, they will never know. This is a little silly, but for example, the first time I picked up a broom to help my mom sweep, I swung it around like this because that's how I had seen it animated in the Cinderella movie, right? It's silly, but it's a good example of how children actually need to be taught every single thing we encounter in our day-to-day life. Solving problems is no different. It just so happens that in previous generations, there was no other alternative. It was figure it out or fail. Now it's figure it out, or you can go ask AI to do it instead. If I was a youth these days and I didn't know better, I know what I would choose. It's also tempting to decide that this is not the hill to die on. Personally, I think it is. I know Father Colin briefly talked about AI-induced psychosis in his talk last week. So imagine how that would be exponentially more prevalent in children because of how malleable they are. There are AI tools that are marketed specifically towards children. The most egregious that I'm aware of is one, the advertisement says, it's not a tablet, it's not a toy, it's an AI companion. And it goes so far as to say, this is a new friend for your child. What are we doing as a society? In this age of social media, true connection is already a very rare commodity. Why would we readily accept a facsimile of that for our children? We are human to connect, right? This is why we are come together as a church to commune. This is why we are called to be active in charitable service to those around us. As Christians, we are not meant to live in this solitary confinement bubble with a computer as our helpmeet, and that's it. Do not allow this mindset to grow in your children, and do not allow it to grow in yourself. So how does this all tie into AI and learned helplessness? When you can ask AI to write your paper for you, why would you do it yourself? And if you never do it yourself, you'll never actually learn. The practice is vital to learning. And if you can ask AI your questions, why bother asking a trained professional? Or even easier, why Google it? Never mind that the results from AI are frequently accurate and can come from questionable sources. It gave you an answer, so task succeeded, right? If you have strong emotions to work through, why bother a therapist or a friend or a spiritual father when you have a chatbot? Again, never mind that it's been shown that these are programmed to tell you what you want to say so that you keep coming back and becoming more and more reliant. It's not the truth. What is the point of any of it if there is someone or some tool out there that will do it for you? How long before we ask ChatGPT to summarize our prayers or even say them for us? I'm being a little facetious here, but the point is that this is a snowball. The more that you are reliant on this tool, the less you're able to actually think for yourself. And this is all these kids will ever know. They will not know a lifetime before this was available. And unless we teach them, it will seem like the smart or only decision to become reliant on this tool. AI is a tool. All tools have danger. Just most of them are so ingrained in our society that we don't even think about the precautions we take against them. You're using a hammer, you watch your thumb. You use a nail gun, you put ear protection on. For my generation, it was drilled into us relentlessly. When you're using a computer, you check your sources. It's so common to us that it's second nature to prepare for these dangers without ever even thinking of it. When you turn to AI to solve every problem, you are actively participating in your own atrophy. We as adults are at least somewhat able to have discernment about this, to make a conscious decision about whether we use this tool or not. Children do not have that luxury. The same way a cell phone is intrinsic to my generation, even though it was not to my mother's generation, AI simply will be. Already, you cannot escape it. Every company is rolling out some new AI feature, whether I like it or not. Workplaces are beginning to require it, and unless we teach children not just to be aware of how they are using the tools, but also how they approach and think about them now, proactively, then it will be too late. So I've talked so much about how we need to explicitly teach our children how to problem solve, that again, I should probably take my own advice and teach you the best way I think to do this. What practical steps can we take to reduce the reliance on AI? And as I've already said, it's impossible to face society without seeing it somewhere, right? We can't just put our blinders on. this is reiterating Father Colin, what he said last week. Turn off any automatic AI functions, especially in search responses. Google is a tool that is available to us. So Google it, use your own eyeballs and brains, and look at the resources you're reading from. Teach your kids how to do the same, and even better, show them how to look things up using physical media. It is a skill, and it is a hard skill to do if you don't know how to do it, but once you know how, it's very easy. And not always Google can give us the same results that going to a library can. Reading to your kids is so important. It is the most effective way to get the brain muscle working young. Implement open-ended play whenever possible. So let your child actually use their imagination. A set of blocks can be a tea set or a grocery store or a rocket ship or a military or, whatever. A tea set is only ever going to be a tea set. There's no imagination involved there. And I'm not saying it's bad to have purpose-built toys, especially when you just need to get the dishes done and there's someone screaming at you for their 7th cheese stick of the day, But don't rely on this, don't use it all the time. Don't let it be the only thing that you do. Let your children lead this pretend play and you respond to their ideas. You don't set the idea for them. This active imagination will be building blocks that later in life they will need to form thoughts of their own. Most importantly, if you take anything else from this, or nothing at all from this, please teach them how to problem solve. So I have a checklist that I teach my students in the academy. You don't have to follow this exact pathway, but try to make a pathway. It's helpful for children to be directly told what steps to take. So my step number 1, we've had the failure, what do we do next? Step 1, try again. Just very simple, just try again. So many of the youth lack perseverance. They try something, they fail, and then they just stop because they don't know how to overcome that step of failing. They don't know what to do next. So step 1, try again. Step 2 is try again, but try something new. And this is where those building blocks of imagination that we talked about earlier will come into play. They can think of one little thing they can change and try again, but differently. Step number 3 is repeat step number 2. Think of something new. It sounds silly because to us, we know this, but a kid needs to be told. And then step number 4. This one is one that I found staggering to know that kids didn't know to ask for. Step number 4 is if you have completed the first steps, you've tried again, you've tried something new, you can and should ask for help. Asking for help is part of the problem-solving process. But they don't even know that when they get stuck, they should ask for help. They'll just stand and wait. We have to teach them, be proactive in your own problem solving, even if that means getting somebody else to come help you. And the important thing for us as adults is help. Don't do it for them. Work them through this process of how to solve it. Don't just solve it. True actual help by either explaining and teaching them how to do it themselves if it's a small task they've never experienced before, teaching them the tools they need to solve the task. For example, how do you research for a paper that you're finding difficult? How do you open a can or read a recipe? Or a literal actual helping hand if it's a physical task that they're just too small for. But the key here is helping, not just doing it for them. They must have tried the other steps first. The help is the last step. So this mindset will help the children learn and be self-reliant and give them the knowledge to move forward in their life, but also give them tools on how to figure something out for themselves if they come across something they don't know how to do. If we raise self-contained and knowledgeable children, they will not be reliant on outside sources like AI for simple or even not simple tasks. And then they will eventually be able to grow discernment on when they really need the tool. Yes, I'm open. So if you take away nothing else, use the brain God gave you, like Father Gregory said, but also actively teach young people how to solve problems. Because if they aren't told, they will never know. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So another problem comes from AI when they see, faces or whatever created
That
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, okay, so Lieta is speaking on how when we see AI generated faces, they cannot tell the difference. They don't have this discernment. Some adults don't have this discernment. You know, it's kind of easy when you see an AI that's not so advanced. You can tell, okay, it's got 8 fingers. It's not a real person. But it's becoming more and more advanced technology. If we're having a hard time telling the difference, what will our kids see? You know, and AI does also exaggerate. It does not always tell you the truth. It is programmed by corporations, and the corporations want you to use it. So it will tell you what it thinks you want to hear, whether that is necessarily the truth or not. It's just something to keep in mind. Yes, Father.
Well, when you said that now children don't know how to ask for help, it made me think. So it was interesting observation, insight, and I was trying to put your lecture into context of development for children. So how do children develop, and how do contexts matter? And now we can compare like human context, for example, being having parents around, or relying completely on AI, for example. And when we do that, then we see two difference, at least, well, major difference, at least one. And that is, so parents sort of give some credits for the children that they can learn. And they create for them, and psychologists call it the zone of proximal development. So create that zone where children can develop further. And AI is more like it's one point shot, like snapshot. So ask me this, I give you this, but that's it. I'm not really, capable of creating that kind of room for you where you are encouraged and curious and motivated to develop further, and maybe not really any stepping stones for you. So AI is just helpful thing, but if it's used within some zone of proximal development that only humans can create, and that's of course our job as parents and as teachers if you're a teacher.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, I think for the camera, Father is speaking on how when actual humans are involved in learning, it is a process. It's not a point in time like what a computer can generate for you. You don't ask for the information, get the information, and move on. And most of the time when you do it like this, you forget it, right? Father is talking about when you have parents or educators or community members, however it is, you create this zone of learning that is continuous, and you build stepping stones on it, which I think is an important distinction.
That's a good way. AI wouldn't be able to paraphrase it.
No. Yes, Macrina. Macrina would like me to tell everyone that relating to Miss Lieta's question, AI does not always give you the right answer. Sometimes when you listen to the computer on your phone giving you directions, you can turn in the wrong place and then you are lost.
And then you can't find your way back because you know the cat will trick you again.
Okay. Yes, Dimitri.
Yes, so currently, specifically in the higher echelons of education, so high school and college, a lot of people are using AI to study or do their projects and whatnot. And even to the point that the professors are realizing that, first of all, they see that people are using AI, but not just that, even if they don't see that people are using AI because people can go around and change it or whatnot, they're doing much better than, like, they're getting assignments done faster, they're getting everything done quicker and faster, so professors are assigning even more stuff to do and a lot more to do. And then the people who don't use AI and there are some people out there, they're then at a huge disadvantage. And now there's workload that before there was AI, was already, max workload, but now it's just like, you can only get it done with AI. And so I don't know what you would say about that, but there's that going on, right?
Well,
I do have something to
that
say
there is
about
a
that.
block tuition, which means that you pay the same for like 20 credits as you pay for 15 credits. So you want to take as many classes as you can, and then of course if you take 5 classes, what can you do to do all this stuff?
So to reiterate for the camera, Dimitri is saying in college mostly, maybe even high school as well, there are students who are reliant on AI, so they're getting things done faster, if not necessarily better, faster for sure. Again, it's a tool, then it will help you get things done faster. I can't deny that. And then the professors are seeing this and in response making more work, so then the students who are not using AI are falling behind. What do I have to say about that? Oh, that's true. That is a fact. I can't. It's like how some workplaces are requiring AI, and if you push back on that, you will find yourself at a disadvantage. That's why it's so important for us to have discernment, and I think in a few years we really will see the fruit of that, because there will be people who actually know the knowledge versus those who don't. There is the whole point of studying, the reason you study is going through and writing it out or highlighting it or typing it in your computer even to somewhat of a lesser degree actually stores the knowledge in a different part of your brain. It keeps that knowledge more prevalent to you than if you just read it on the paper for the first time. I think that's going to be expounded quite a bit by AI. Because you're not even actually reading from the original source half the time, you're reading a summary. So will that knowledge fit into that same part of your brain? Will you actually hold on to that knowledge, or is it just something you have long enough to pass your test and move on? I think in a few years we will really see the difference between people who have the knowledge and people who at one point read the knowledge. And that's when I think we'll see a bit of evening out. Again, it's unfortunate. I can't say it doesn't happen because AI does make it go faster for you. It is a tool, but I think the difference will be clear when we know who had discernment on whether they used AI for certain tasks or not. And speaking as a teacher, not necessarily for my students because they're very tiny, but I've read some of the papers that my mom's students have turned in, and you can tell when AI was used. So. That's what I have to say.
Other questions?
There were some, I think, sometimes teacher cannot tell it's not AI either.
Sometimes. And that comes down to if the student is actually crafty enough to hide it, because there's always tells.
But the opposite, student actually wrote.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Lieta, that's actually happened to me before. I've been accused of using AI, which I found
I can jump in here
silly.
just for a
Please
second.
do.
Don't go anywhere. So I think that this AI problem has been solved on one level about test taking and papers and stuff like that. It looks like most teachers are going back to oral exams now, which is great. That's the way it used to be back in the Middle Ages when I was in seminary or in college. And so it's very hard for you to utilize AI when you're face to face with the professor. Not impossible, but harder. And so at least for now, that seems to be the way that solution is being taken care of. And actually, the professors like it because you don't have to grade the exam.
Well, it's not oral exam, it's in-person exam, and also students can't use their laptops.
Father Vladimir says they're using in-person exams also.
Software, like I think it's browser lock, where you can only use one screen. And
Yeah.
the test.
Right, and so there are these
There is a camera
solutions.
that is watching you too.
Right, there are those solutions too. Personally, I'm voting for the oral exam. 15 minutes, you're done.
Too much work for me.
It's no work for you. You just give them an A or an F and you're done. Yes. I can't hear a thing you're saying. There's way too many people talking. In fact, I can say that the majority of people are talking, so that's impressive. The question that Asmik is asking is, can AI replace a priest? So the answer to that is very simple. A good priest like Father Colin or Father Vladimir, no way. But some like old useless priest like me, for sure. So I think that's the easy answer.
Father, it's not, it's just the priest's point of view, but from the people's point of view, that they believe that they benefit. Because there was an article by Sergei Khudiev, I read him, and he wrote an article, and someone posted a comment. So I spent 4 hours yesterday talking with ChatGPT as if that was a priest. And it was pretty informative. I learned a lot. It was a good conversation. I don't think my priest would spend as much time, 4 hours. Okay? See? So people have a value.
That's true.
And that's a challenge.
That's true. That's true. So I think the answer is still probably no. I think that priests are probably have a rare kind of vocation that will not easily be replaced by AI or robots. At least that's my hope. Other questions for Katie while we have her here? That was a really excellent lecture. Thank you so much, Matushka. Appreciate it. We'll have another lecture next week during our meal. Please plan to join us then.